Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Monday, May 5th regular meeting of the Chicopee School Committee. Please join me in a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In compliance with open meeting law, we are right now recording and live broadcasting this meeting. Is anyone in the audience doing so? Recording or live broadcasting the meeting? Seeing none. Any of our members that may be joining us remotely? Do we have any school committee members joining us remotely?
I don't see anybody.
All right, seeing none. At this time, I'd like to take a moment of silence. We'll take that moment of silence for all those in the military and for all those who protect us. Thank you. Sarah, could I have a roll call for board attendance?
Mayor View.
Here.
Ms. Russo. Here. Mr. Barcelo.
Present.
Mr. Dowd.
Here.
Mrs. Perrette. Mrs. Schofield.
Here.
Mr. Brooks.
Here.
Mr. Lamothe.
Here.
Mr. Gerard. Mr. Bernard.
Here.
Mrs. Lopes.
Present.
Dr. McCarthy.
Present.
10 present, 2 absent.
And just for the viewing audience, school committee member Doug Gerard had emailed and said that he was not able to attend due to personal reasons. And we will move on to public announcements by committee members, and I'll start with the vice chair of the school committee, Don Lamothe.
It's brought to my attention tomorrow is Teacher Appreciation Day. I'd like to show that appreciation for our teachers.
Thank you. Sonny Brooks.
I'm good, thank you.
Dr. Mark McCarthy.
Just another quick shout out to DuPont Middle School. Thanks for hosting me on my visit recently, and otherwise that's it.
Thank you. And Susan Sotelo Lopes.
I look forward to speaking tonight or us approving the motion for 3 REACH students to attend the Future Problem Solving International Conference in Bloomington, Indiana. I've been in contact with a couple parents from Ward 6, and one of them is their daughter is traveling. She won an award, Charlotte, and so I think it's going to be fun tonight. There's a lot of families looking forward to it, all REACH students, because these 3 students are representing us internationally.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Grace Schofield.
I just want to echo appreciation for all the teachers this week. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. And Deanna Russo.
Similar, I want to echo the appreciation for all of the teachers' efforts, and I believe it's also Nurses Week as well, so also to all nurses as well.
And Jay Doubt.
Thank you, Mayor. We've heard it from a few, but we can't say it enough. We appreciate all that not just our teachers do, everyone who works in our schools. The schools could not function without, teaching staff, and our teaching staff couldn't function without everybody else in the building. So teachers and everybody in our buildings today, this week, every day, thank you for all that you do and continue to do for our district.
Thank you. And Ron Bernard.
All set. Thank you, Mayor.
And David Barcelo.
All set also.
All set. I want to take a moment, too, to just let all our teachers know and on Teacher Appreciation Week how much we value and appreciate you. And also same for our nurses. It is School Nurses Week. I also want them to understand how important they are in their role and significance in our schools and keeping our students safe and healthy. And lastly, I had the opportunity to actually visit with Stefanik School for School Lunch Hero Day on Friday, and it was a wonderful experience to see the hardworking staff of Chicopee Fresh and in action, serving lunches, healthy lunches to the students at Stefanik. As a proud Stefanik star, a lot of memories went through my mind as I walked through the halls of Stefanik. On that note, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Dr. Marcus Ware.
Thank you, Mayor. And I need to add one more recognition to that. So if we work in return, we have nurses this week, which is 6 through 12. We have teachers, which is 5 through 9. We also had school lunch heroes on Friday, and we had principals on Thursday. So between the months of April and May, there's a lot of recognition going on. So I just would like to recognize all of those educators and professionals who work for our community each and every day. Thank you for all that you do.
I'd be remiss if I didn't take my moment to recognize Principal Appreciation Day that I missed last week.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Public input. Speakers shall properly identify themselves by providing their name and address. There will be a time limit of 30 minutes or a length of 3 minutes for individual speakers. Topics of discussion should be limited to those items within the scope of the school committee. Comments and complaints regarding school committee personnel or students are generally prohibited unless those comments and complaints concern matters within the scope of the school committee authority. At this time, I'd like to invite up Jennifer Poutre. Jennifer, welcome to City Hall.
Thank you and good evening. Again, my name is Jennifer Poutre. I live at 127th Street. I've lived in this city for approximately 20 years, and my daughter just recently graduated comp in the year of 2024. I'm also a second grade ESP at Fairview Elementary. Throughout the day, I am utilized as an educational support person, recess and lunchroom attendant, as well as itinerant staff, working side by side with teachers and interventionists, collaborating to try and find new ways and new ideas to engage our students, especially my English language learners. Why am I telling you this as an ESP? I feel everyone has a pretty good idea of what a principal's job is, what a teacher's job entails, even how the school would fall apart without a building secretary. But when it comes to what an ESP's responsibilities are, things are not so clear, and they have changed from what we all remember. As you are aware, the elementary school day begins at 8:30. I begin my day checking in with students and helping them with their morning routine. My assigned duties begin at 8:40. By the time I take my break at 11:30, I have met with 15 of my second graders and 8 of my third grade students, all within 5-minute increments, providing a variety of support services that include oral reading fluency, which was formerly known as DIBELS, basic letter recognition, blended sounds, and sight words. After lunch, I serve as a lunchroom attendant and a recess monitor. Along with 2 other paras, we supervise 45 students. The remaining 2 hours of my day is spent providing individual services to 10 students, as well as working in small groups to support my teacher and the curriculum. Long gone are the days of copying and stapling packets, coloring, or walking kids to the bathroom. I feel that it's very important, especially as we work through contracts, to make a space for acknowledgement and recognition that the responsibilities of an ESP, such as the ones I've included here, are supportive and necessary to meet the needs of the students to ensure their success. Our contributions must be considered so that we can achieve a fair and equitable contract and a healthy student future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That concludes public input. We'll move on to our visitors. The Crossroads program, teacher Eric Dahl is here with my friends from the Crossroads program. Welcome to City Hall.
Thank you. Thank you for having us again. Eric Dahl from the 18 to 22 transition program housed in Fairview. I have 3 wonderful students here, so I'm not going to waste any of their time. I'm just going to let Jay speak for himself.
Good evening. My name is Jan Santiago. I am currently attending college steps at American International College. I did not feel prepared back in October when my old boss, Mr. Dahl, recommended moving on to college steps at Crossroads. We had many outings where we meet other transition programs out in the community. We practice social skills by introducing ourselves to new people and practices conversation skills in smaller groups. I needed to work on becoming more focused and be able to listen and sit still when in session or class. After some time at Crossroads, I had mastered these skills, and then I was hyped to move on to American International College. So let's talk about my successes here at AIC. I have been able to work on my grammar and writing skills as well as my math skills one-on-one sessions with my mentors. I feel like my skills have gotten better since working on them at AIC by completing assignments and practicing using websites like Khan Academy. I have also done well in small group sessions with my mentors and other students. Some main things that I learned with some conversation skills like waiting until others are done, talking before joining and starting in a new conversation with them, and I also learn about social media. I get permission to post others online and take photos with others to post on social media, and how to respect people's boundaries and when they say no and not ask again. Next, let's talk about some examples of what I do here at AIC. And some of my highlights, my first highlight from AIC was running an event on campus. This event we hosted was an art museum where we collected donations and given to Western Mass Food Bank. I had some artwork that I displayed the event. When people walked by, I got to welcome them into our event so they could look at artwork and make crafts. Another thing I do at AIC is go sessions with mentors and students. I got to learn these new skills at these sessions like friendship, circles, and boundaries. Some of my biggest highlights here at AIC were going to sports games, going to the gym and playing hoops with friends, or working out in the weight room, and going to campus events like Stinger Fridays where I got to play pool and listen to music while hanging out with friends. Finally today, I will tell you my plans of when I'm done at American National College. I plan to finish my projects here in AIC, and I finish up the school for the next 3 years and receive my certificate when I finish up the College Steps program, and then will then plan to get a job when I do start working and get a steady paycheck. I will work on budgeting my cash. And I have finished reviewing everything, so I would like to thank you for the opportunity to share my experience at Crossroads and College Steps at American International College. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Jaden.
Good evening. My name is DeAndre Rodriguez. That's a D thing on apostrophe, then Andre. And I am 18, but I will be 19 years old on September 3rd, 2025. This is my first year at the Crossroads 18 to 22 program. I didn't really like the program when I first started because it was not like high school that I was used to for 4 years. I went to Chicopee High. Go Pacers! Some of the things that I did not like was when Mr. Dahl made me work outside, picking weeds out of the garden, shoveling mulch, and being stuck with Mr. Dahl all day. But as time went on, I began to understand why Mr. Dahl made me in the rest of the class to work like that, to prepare us to be responsible and independent. That made me like it more. Here are some things that I did like right away. When Mr. Dahl brought in a truck for us to drive, but I don't worry. Like M told you before, it was a remote controlled truck, and I cannot wait for him to bring it again. I also liked that we had and still have a social time where we can play Wii sports. My favorite is Wii Bowling. We have some pretty intense competitions. You're all welcome to join us for one day. Today, I like the program way better than I did before. I have learned some good skills, and I feel I am more independent than in the beginning of the year. I have created a presentation for, and I will be assisting in running my IEP meeting this Wednesday. I have learned from my mistakes, and am better at staying focused and on task. Even when Mr. Dolan makes me pull more weeds, I have learned a lot about myself this year, and never thought that I would be able to speak in front of a bunch of people. But here I am, and thank you for listening. Good night.
Nice job, DeAndre.
Hi, my name is Quentin Hines, and I go to the Crossroads 1822 program. I'm at Crossroads to practice job skills and learn about what I want to do when I'm 22. Here are some of the activities that I do at Crossroads. On Mondays, I intern at Lupa Zoo. While there, I wipe down the tables. I help feed the hedgehogs and the rabbits. I clean the reptiles' water dishes, and I refill them. I also wash windows on the cages and around the zoo. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I go to Goodwill, where I hang clothes on racks and sort shoes. I then put rubber bands on matching pairs of shoes, then put the shoes in the proper bins. On Thursdays, every other week, we do a Crossroads Cafe, where we make food for the teachers and staff of Fairview. I helped with delivering the orders via DoorDash. Said that incorrectly. I help cook breakfast for the class on Thursdays when we don't have the Crossroads Cafe. Last October, we were working on our school garden, and I helped put wood chips into a wheelbarrow to spread around the raised garden beds. I also helped pull weeds. One thing I didn't like about my first time going to Crossroads is how much Mr. Dahl and my mom communicated. I've since learned to appreciate it every now and then, but know that they have my best interests in place. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. Oops, I mean Ed Talk. And I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you, Quentin. I'm a pretty competitive indoor athlete, so I might be taking you up on that. Approval of minutes, 25-5-1.
Move that the minutes of the regular meeting of the school committee held on April 16th, 2025 be approved.
Don, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the minutes. Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, just one more check. Do we have anyone joining us remotely? Any members of the school committee joining us remotely? We can do hand counts, hand votes.
Is it too late to ask Mr. Dahl a question?
Oh.
Because I know I should have got your attention sooner than this.
I'm comfortable. Mr. Dahl, would you like to answer a quick question?
Thanks. I saw in the superintendent's newsletter that I so enjoy reading, and when I was at Fairview seeing the program a month or so ago with the superintendent and the principal. You were incredible advocating for a van that you wanted for your program, for your students. And you spoke to the superintendent very fervently, and you were such a great advocate for your students. I just sat there and stared at you having a conversation with Dr. Ware, and Dr. Ware, you were extremely receptive to him and this teacher, special teacher, and you got your van, didn't you? Yeah. I'm happy for you. I love the photo in the superintendent's newsletter. I'm so glad you have it, and I'm sure you're going to do great things with it because you love the students being out in society and working at Lupa Zoo. I love Lupa Zoo, and just going to AIC. I mean, these are incredible. It's incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a lot of weeds you could pull around City Hall, too, so if you're interested, all right, catch up with me. And,
Oh, 164 Meadows.
and a great chili recipe, by the way, too. Again, we'll go back to 25-1-5, the minutes. We have a motion to approve. Any discussion or comments? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Reports 25-5-2.
Report on personnel action taken and professional development. I'd like to call Ms. Deb Green up to the podium for an update.
Good evening, everyone. Today, your personnel report covers April 10th through April 23rd. At that time, there were a total of 5 new hires, 3 resignations, and 3 retirements, which Dr. Ware will speak of. 2 of those hires are in the substitute pool, 1 in the cafeteria, and 1 clerk. As of this afternoon, we have 40 active postings out on Power School. 18 of those are Unit A, 7 of those in Unit A are special ed. We have 6 paraprofessional openings, and of those 5 are special ed. In addition, there are food service postings out, which include postings for summer help in the food service department. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ware.
Yes, and I'd like to give the viewing public just an update on the multiple day conferences and single day conferences that our staff have participated in, and I know this is usually done by Ms. Perrette. So we had a few multiple day conferences for Director of Food Services as well as our school nurses, which was the School Nutrition Association National Leadership Conference, as well as the New England School Nurse Conference of 2025, as well as single and virtual conferences for our farm to school coordinator, grants administrator, academy school nurse, and family and community engagement facilitators. So those conferences were the Mass Farm to School Intro to Mushroom Growing for Educators, Mass Buys Expo, New England School Nurse Conference as well, again, and the New England Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents Leadership Conference, which was held in Springfield. And on the next page, you'll see there are multiple conferences, including upcoming conferences where the many of our members of the CEA will be attending the MTA conference, which is held in Springfield, as well as other conferences for math educators, behavioral health educators, as well as our physical education teachers. So that would conclude a little bit of information about the professional development we have going on in district. And as Ms. Green has said, we have 3 retirees this evening, and I will start with Ms. Mary Ellen Duville, paraprofessional at Zatella Zatella Early Childhood School, 11 years and 9 months of service. Zatella writes, Ms. Duville has been a valued employee at Zatella in one of our most difficult classrooms. Every day she's come in happy and enthusiastic about the students she serves. She never complains and always steps up when asked to do so. Zatella wishes her the best of luck in her retirement and her new life in the South. Sounds like she's moving. Congratulations, Ms. Duville. We'll move on to Ms. Cheryl Eckert, teacher at Chicopee Comprehensive High School, 17 years and 10 months of service. Chicopee Comp writes, Mrs. Eckert is a truly exceptional English teacher, beloved by her students and staff alike. For the past 18 years, she has inspired a love of English and dedication to strong writing in her students, consistently encouraging them to achieve their full potential, both inside the classroom as well as in their lives outside the school. She did not just focus on students sitting in front of her in room 332, but truly cared about the entirety of the student body. Ms. Eckert's classroom was a nurturing environment where students felt deeply supported, benefiting from her high expectations and natural ability to connect with them. Beyond her impactful work in the English department, her dedicated leadership of the Key Club has enriched our school through countless flag ceremonies and vibrant multicultural luncheons, as well as years serving monthly spaghetti dinners to both retired and elderly veterans at our neighboring AmVets Club. Mrs. Eckert thoughtfulness also extended to her colleagues as well as the Key Club, always made remembering our school's teachers a top priority during Teacher Appreciation Week. Finally, Ms. Eckert truly focused her career on spreading kindness and a sense of belonging in her classroom, as well as between all students and staff at Chicopee Comp. She will be deeply missed by so many students and staff. Chicopee Comp extends her the warmest of wishes and a fulfilling and joyful retirement. Congratulations, Ms. Eckert. Last but not least, we have Mr. John Estrada, custodian at Chicopee High School, 18 years and 6 months of service. Chicopee High writes, John Estrada will be missed by everyone at Chicopee High School. He is always the first person to lend a hand when a project is being done or a staff member needs help, making safety a priority. John has been the go-to when something needs some MacGyvering, for those who understand the reference, MacGyvering. He's a problem solver. John's work may have been behind the scenes, but the results were front and center every single day. Thank you for everything that you've done for Chicopee High School. You'll be greatly missed by everyone. Congratulations, Mr. Estrada.
Thank you. Grace Schofield.
Can I make a motion for a 5-minute recess so that people in the audience may depart?
We have a motion for a 5-minute recess. Any comment or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone in favor? Hello? Thank you. That's unanimous. We'll take a 5-minute recess. We'll be right back.
go.
I'd like to ask all the school committee members to come back in. We are in session. And we'll move on to agenda item 25-5-3.
Report of the Finance and Budget Subcommittee. I'd like to turn it over between Mr. Mayarecki and the subcommittee vice chair.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome, John.
Hello again. Just want to get this place in my presentation where I start. If you could please bring up the presentation. Thank you. Sorry if I have to go through a few slides here. What I'm trying to get to is the summary page. Should be the next one. All right. Here on this page, so we met on Thursday and had a real good conversation for about an hour and a half or so about the FY26 budget. So one of the things that we talked about were the staffing within the schools. One being, if you look back, I'll show you the previous slide, that we had what we had on the particular budget that we approved at the end of May, early June last year. And then we had current positions, because we all know throughout the year there are movements that's happened. We have come to you for some transfers that happened. One of the examples that I gave is our BCBAs. There were 3 new hire positions that we had in the budget last year that we took the money from there because they haven't been hired for most of the year. And since we've been hiring with an outside agency for some of our need in our classrooms for our students, for like SBS is one example, we moved that money into our professional service line for special education to pay for that. With that. So that's why you see sometimes a different movement of the positions. And then we have our FY26 positions that we have on our current budget. So I just want to make reference to that. With our summary page here, I've put a comparison starting with salaries and expenses at the top for what was approved last year in May and June compared to what has been proposed to the subcommittee to the bigger whole committee. As you can see here in FY26, we have $101.2 million of salaries along with $32.5 million of expenses across the district, and that's a sum from all of our accounts. In the breakdown, we have our Chapter 70 and we have our city contribution. These are formula based through DESE, and what that is, the Chapter 70 is those columns I've talked about in some of our updates, multiplying times the rate, multiplying times the students that are in that particular column. All those added together comes to $136,705,069. Also within that number there, the $36.4 million is city contribution. That's also a formula that is processed by DESE, and a number is given out for the contribution that the city of Chicopee would be making towards the total foundation budget. We have our city costs, and I just want to make a point out that our city costs from last year have gone up over $3 million. The majority of that is in our insurance, that we had rates going at 19% for Health New England, along with a 20+% for the Blue Cross Blue Shield. And our other third provider went up about 9%. Now, the other piece of that too is that's a weight that we are carrying over year to year. So it's not like we go back to $22,000 and then add not something for the following year. We've gone up over 30% in our city costs over the last 4 years. We have our transportation. That is going up to $12.6 million. We are going out to bid very soon regarding our transportation, but we did work with our provider to come up with a very good estimate. I wouldn't say guesstimate, it's an estimate about how much that would go up, and that would be going up that almost $600,000. We get that $123 million there by subtracting our city costs from our total foundation budget and adding back transportation. And we add back the transportation because our transportation is in our calculations for expenses on the budget. As kindly paid for by the city when it comes to transportation. We have our additional city appropriation, and with this, it's a combination of two things that was recommended from the budget subcommittee meetings that we've had, the three that we've had, and that's $280,200 for our current lease on our building for next year, and that will be the last year of that lease. And there is the ask for $1.25 million, also from that recommendation from the budget subcommittee in there, and that's added to that $123.6 million number. We have the same amount of education stabilization fund there that we had in the previous year. That was our goal, to get back to that number when we were going through the budget, which brings us up to the total amount of $132,851,452. So that's the available funding to use. We also do use our other income that we have here. You see school choice and you see circuit breaker. We're not using school choice for this year and predicted for next year. The circuit breaker amount, we have to use the previous year's amount of funding at a minimum that came in. So that's that $988,000 number you see there. So that's other income that is added to that $132.8 million, which we get a grand total to the budget of $133,840,015. Are there any questions with this summary here?
Dr. Mark.
Yeah, just looking back up towards the top of your list here, understanding the Chapter 70 funding, and you mentioned the formula which sets as a goal that cities have to reach to get to the 100% funding. And I mean, roughly speaking, Chapter 70 is giving us over 70% of what they're recommending that 100% to be. After the city contribution, do you know how many percentage points above that 100 we are?
Above that 100%, because we're roughly at 100%. I think you must be looking at the DESI site, because it is about like 72, 73% to 22% where they break it down, and we are at our 100% goal, where other districts are working their way up towards that 100% goal or working their way down to that 100% goal. We've been at 100 for a few years now, and you're talking the 1.25?
Yeah, I mean, roughly speaking, like when you see some cities contribute to go above.
Yes.
Like intentionally, like you can look in some high-performing districts where they're at like 140%, right?
Yes. So if you were to take those numbers and what you figure into that 100% plus would be any additional funding that you have. So your additional city, but also we're putting in the education stabilization dollar amount. So in total, you're putting in there about $9.1 million. So you're probably at about like 6 or 7% over net school spending when you do that, because we're at a budget that's $133 million.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any more questions?
Done.
Are you going to go into where we're going to end up with in the reserves?
Yes, I'm going to go towards the end of this.
Thank you.
Okay. I do have a slide here with education stabilization that we talked about. You know, the MGL law that goes along with that we can carry this stabilization fund provided for by the city and held by the city. We also do get interest off the money that is in that account that is added to that stabilization fund on a monthly basis. At a current balance, when we put this presentation together, we're at $7.684 million. And what I did here in the next two lines was break down a couple things. ESSER. So ESSER finished with us at the end of September. We were able, with the remaining balance of ESSER, to complete the spending of ESSER. We used that $3.186 million to pay for some salaries. And those salaries had to be done between July 1st and September 30th. So we were able to alleviate the budget that way. On top of that is if we didn't have that $3.1 million, we would have actually had an estimated carryover of that $2.8 million amount. But we did have ESSER, so with that $7 million, plus that $6 million there, we're at $13.684 million at the balance. We have pledged $7.668 in our FY26 budget that would be put into the budget, which brings us to a balance of $6,015,822. We put out some projections here. So you'll see FY25, FY26 for what we currently are projecting, and FY27 and FY28. With this, for FY27 and 28, for the Chapter 70 city contributions, what I did here is used our current rates. In FY27, we have SOA rates that are added in, and then I took an inflation rate of about 1.3%, a little bit below what we have for this year, which I believe is at 1.35%, and put that into a formula based off what we know now for our foundation budget students, and came up with a new number. So for FY27, you see it's at $142,119,000. Now in 28, there's no longer SOA. So it's just purely by inflation. So again, I used the 1.3 to be conservative with this. We've been there for the last couple years around that, and you only see that going up about $1.8 million at $143,967,000. Now, the other thing that we have here, you see a couple highlights here. We have the highlights for city costs. In 27 and 28, I added an additional $1.5 million to each of those years. So you can see that amount going over about $6 million over those 3 years from FY25. That's still a pretty considerable amount of increase. You have a transportation in 27, 28 that went up 3% for each year. And then with additional city appropriation, I'm gonna stop there and then go down to the bottom of this slide. So at the bottom of this slide, what we're showing here with the red is we wanted to show you what the stabilization amounts you would have and need for this particular year. So we know last year is at 7.68. What we've put together at your request is the 7.68 for FY26. Okay, just like the previous slide, we had that $6 million at the bottom of this slide. In FY27, there is that amount there of what we would have left over. Okay, and then in FY28, you see a zero there because the stabilization fund is exhausted at that point by our estimation. So going back to our additional city appropriation with this, in FY27 with an estimate, there would need to be additional city appropriation of $3.217 million. If we move into FY28, it would be $12.79 million. That would be needed to fund a budget and to what we know right now. So what I did was took this year's 26, moved it into 27, and then also moved it in 28. So there's no changes in there except for steps and raises within that budget. Are there any questions on this?
How many positions are we going to have to lose in 28?
So in 28, if you average what currently is about an average teacher salary, is about $75,000, and I'm not saying, and I don't want to go there with this, but $75,000 into that number is probably 130 teaching positions on average, if you put that in. That's just a pure calculation. Obviously, if there's other units, you have different averages you would place there.
Okay.
And that's that 12.8 number there. Now, I also broke this down into what you'll see and approve in your budget when it comes up on the 21st, and with our DESI code buckets. So I turned the budget and what you saw in a summary into what you would approve by DESI codes. I also have in here grant funding. We did have some funding come back to the general fund for this year. I believe it was 6 or 7 positions. We also do have a big concern in admin, and we were discussing this. It seems like every exec meeting that we have, cabinet meeting that we have, regarding what could happen. Assistant Superintendent Belleville was talking a little bit about today about what came out over the weekend, or 2 or 3 days ago, regarding some of our title funding could possibly go. So we are going to be trying to come up with a plan B with those funding, because I think we would come up to $600,000, $700,000 potentially for those grants, and that doesn't mean a Title I or an IDA can't be touched either. Those have come up, but not as strongly as the Title II, the Title III, the Title IV conversation. So we have to be very concerned with that for funding, and that would change the whole budget and flip it right around for us, back to the drawing board in most cases. As you see here, you have that 133 number down at the bottom, which is the full budget, and you have 5.3. Yes, this is close to what we had for grants funding last year, but we've also had seven positions that we're able to, we're going to request for some opioid funding that we've had in previous years, for a couple of substance abuse counselors throughout the district. And then we also have our family engagement liaisons. We did receive a EA reimbursement. Now this is for our families that have come into the city of Chicopee, and the state has moved them here. We received $104 per student over the past couple years, into the tune of about $1.2, $1.3 million, that we have a plan to use some of these funds for these positions, along with ELL teachers. So I think in total, it was 8 positions that we were looking to fund this way for the next couple years. So that's why you see the grant amount roughly what it was last year.
Any questions or comments? Thank you, John.
I got a question. Those 8 positions, you said funded for a couple of years. If you didn't fund those positions, you can't use the money elsewhere, because that's what the money's for.
Yes, there's intent with that funding, and to things that surround those students and families coming into Chicopee.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, I just had a comment. I wasn't at the subcommittee meeting, and I apologize about that, but I think this is not a great picture, but a realistic picture for the facts that we know right now. So I appreciate, everything that you've put together, and I know the concentration is making everything needs-based for our needs at this given moment, and I know that in this environment, that could change at any point. So I appreciate the attention to detail at that. On the slide on the Education Stabilization Fund, I had said this before in one of the subcommittee meetings, but I'll just say it again.
Is this one you're talking about?
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then the one after it as well, but I'll start here. I think, the Education Stabilization Fund, I would call it like a rainy day fund, essentially. It's remaining funds. And so your slide below, you're picturing that phasing out by 2027. It may not, we don't know, but it's not something that we can rely on. So I do appreciate you painting the picture of where those funds are. If at current state things remain constant, when those would run out, because that will definitely be challenging conversations and difficult for us to make future decisions. So I think this budget year, it was important to look forward more than normal as we're thinking through inflation and other grant matters that might become an issue. So all that to say, I just wanted to say thanks for outside of the normal budget items to consider. I think this was the right picture to paint, and we need to make sure we're considering our long-term strategy. So thank you.
You're welcome. Did I have one more? And I just had here the recommendation that we talked about. And with that, the only thing I switched here was I put the Education Stabilization Fund up near additional city appropriation, because obviously we have to ask the city for that appropriation, have that voted upon along with the FY26 budget. So that's why I put that up there, which gets us to a number that would be requested of $132,851,452. I just also would like to say it just wasn't me that did all this. There was a team, the exec team from the superintendent right down. Even those people outside of the exec team put a lot of work into help putting this together, whether it's numbers, meetings, getting raw data to put together. But I want to thank all those individuals, employees of Chicopee that took part in that.
Don, third and last time.
So going forward, what's our next step? Do we have is this considered the public meeting, or we have to have the public meeting next school committee meeting?
So with this, this is not the public meeting. This was a little bit of an overview for the public meeting. The subcommittee on Thursday did push this up to the large committee of a whole. So on the 21st is the plan right now. So before that, my office will put out a hearing notice within the paper by law that we have to do 7 days in advance. And then we'll have our hearing on that meeting and vote that budget to the city council, which will happen later in June.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
25-5-4.
Move that the transfer of funds totaling $17,000 be approved. Excuse me.
Sonny, can I get a motion?
A motion to approve.
Any discussion? Any conversation, or just Jay?
Thank you, Mayor. Just taking a look at our documentation here. This is a request from Mr. Endelos to transfer $17,000, and the attention from, well, the account numbers are listed on our paperwork here, but that's not going to mean anything to anyone. But the request is for to be used directly to purchase equipment for the startup of a career exploration program in aviation for the start of the 25-26 school year. Just wanted to make that known for the viewing public.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Dr. Mark?
Yeah, I had the privilege of getting to chat with him a little bit about this. This is like flight simulators that they're going to be bringing in, and I believe he said that there's only like one aviation program in the state or something, so this would put us right at the forefront of being able to prepare students for that pathway starting in middle school. So very cool, and I think it sounded like a really cool program that's going to move into their 3D printing and tech room also, so they have the staff in place. It's just a matter of getting the equipment to get it rolling.
Any other discussion or comments? We'll take a roll call.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mr. Doubt?
Yes.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
10 yes.
Motion passes. 25-5-5.
Move that the bills warrant S041825 totaling $600,093.99 be approved.
Dr. Mark, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the warrants. Jay, could you read the warrants into the official record, please?
Absolutely, Mayor. So this evening we'll be voting on 3 separate warrants. I will read the totals of the 3 warrants combined, and then we will vote on them individually. For athletics, $40,376. Food services, $264,461. General expenses, $267,589. Grants, $358,515. Maintenance, $499,654. Reimbursements, $1,137. Special education, $303,620. Student activities, $9,170. Transportation, $1,265,274. Telecommunications, $187,894, for a grand total of all 3 warrants this evening, totaling $3,197,694.
Any discussion? Dr. Mark?
I just wanted to mention that I will be abstaining due to reimbursements and payments made on my behalf on a couple of these. So I just wanted to come out and share that in advance. The reason is that we were attending some professional development.
Thank you. Any other discussion or comments? Jay?
Yes, Mayor, as I periodically do, I also just want to remind the board and the viewing public that I also will be abstaining from these as I do work at a special education school that does receive some of this funding. So I just, from time to time, like to let that be known that I will be abstaining from these warrants as well.
And Sonny?
And I will abstain as well. I was with Mark on that trip, and so I will be abstaining on this one. Thank you.
And Ron?
So will I. I have to do that also because I attended that.
So we just want to encourage school committee members to make sure that you have to abstain because we do need enough votes to be able to pass a warrant. And so if we have to break out items to go one at a time to make sure that we have, I think there's only 10 people here tonight, Mayor, is that correct?
Correct. We only need a majority, though.
We just need a majority for the financial order. Just want to check the rules.
I thought that you needed 2/3.
So it's a majority present and voting.
Can I point of clarification?
Dr. Mark, yeah, you have the floor.
So warrant S041825, I understand has to do with my attendance at a Massachusetts school committee event, and the trip to the NSBA conference, I understand, is S050225. So if that helps my colleagues in determining,
yeah,
that's all, which abstentions they need to share with me or not.
I don't think they have to abstain from an educational event that they attended.
There's reimbursement in that.
Okay.
Mileage.
So just for the viewing audience, we'll be voting for 25-5-5. That's warrant S041825, totaling $600,093.99. And we'll take a roll call.
Mr. Bernard?
Abstain.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy?
Abstain.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mr. Doubt?
Abstain.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Brooks.
Abstain.
6 yes, 4 no. 4 abstained, I'm sorry.
4 abstain. Motion carries. 25-5-6.
Move that the bills warrant S042525, totaling $2,117,719.97 be approved.
Susan, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the second warrant. Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call.
Mr. Bernard?
Abstain.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy?
Abstain.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mr. Doubt?
Abstain.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Abstain.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
6 yes, 4 abstained.
Motion carries. 25-5-7.
Move that the bills warrant S050225, totaling $479,880.66 be approved.
Grace, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the third warrant. Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call.
Mr. Bernard?
Abstain.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy?
Abstain.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mr. Doubt?
Abstain.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Abstain.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
6 yes, 4 abstained.
Motion carries. 25-5-8.
Move that the following job descriptions be approved. A, behavior technician. B, student support facilitator.
Deanna, can I get a motion?
Yep. Motion to approve the behavior technician and student support facilitator job descriptions.
The motion to approve. Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, I'll take a roll call.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mr. Doubt?
Yes.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
10 yes.
Motion carries. 25-5-9.
Move that the terms of employment for non-union employees be approved.
Jay, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve. Any discussion or comments? Don?
Yes, this motion for terms of employment is to add the 2 job write-ups that are above to the non-union employees. It's also to take the craftsmen out of the non-union employees, because they are now unionized.
Any further discussion or comments? We'll take a roll call.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mr. Doubt?
Yes.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
10 yes.
Motion carries. 25-5-10.
Move that the purchase of a 2025 Ford F-550 DRW dump truck for $83,250 be approved. Funding source, maintenance of grounds, account number 000420102-524003.
Ron, can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the purchase of the vehicle for the maintenance department.
On the discussion, David?
Yeah, I'm not sure about this price. I'm not sure if they're aware that there's an employee discount now for anybody who purchases a Ford. Doesn't matter what the vehicle is, but if you were like working at Ford, you would get that employee discount, and that applies to anyone who buys a Ford, I guess, in the next 6 weeks. So I'm not sure if that's the final price or if that's something they should explore, just to see if they can save some money.
Sure, all set?
Yeah, thank you.
Don?
Yeah, just a point of information, whenever a vehicle's purchased through the city government or through like a UMass, they have to buy it off the state contract. So I believe this is being bought off the agreed-upon state contract for whatever percentage of profit they make on that. That's my understanding on it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Jay?
Yeah, taking a look at the paperwork here, it does, indicate that the 2012 Ford F-450 dump truck has reached the end of its life because of rot. Do we get trade-in value or anything like that? What happens with that one when we're talking about the price of this and everything? I understand that we're saying, hey, it's not going to serve its purpose for what we need or whatever, but I don't know. Is there any trade-in value for that, or what happens to that vehicle is my question.
Dr. Ware?
Mr. Doubt, that's a very good question. I actually don't know the answer to that question, and I'm going to turn, because this conversation took place in my absence last week, but and Mr. Chaplin's away right now due to family reasons. So if I don't have the answer this evening, I can definitely find out for you, because I'm not sure what happens. And speaking to Mr. Barcelo's question, I do, looking at the team, they said that was taken into consideration, that the amount for the truck is definitely something that's of a discount. Like Mr. Lamothe said, on the being on the central register is at the lowest price possible. So it's not, hopefully, not anything that outside of the commercials that we're seeing for Ford right now, to make sure that people know that we can buy it at a lower rate. But I'm going to turn over to my team to see if they know anything else.
So the purchase of the vehicle is off of the state bid list. As for the vehicle, there is no trade-in value. Like when we go and buy our cars, that's not how the state bid list works. When Mr. Chapdelaine went to get this vehicle inspected, it did not pass inspection and is no longer viable for the road.
Thank you for that information.
I didn't know that.
Mayor?
Yeah, David, second time.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about spending any money on a truck. This is, maybe some of the people that were on the board with me, for the last 20 years can attest to the fact, I don't think this is the first, second, or even third time that we've replaced trucks, because of salt, eating away the bodies. So I'm just trying to save a few dollars here and just look at it, from a frugal point of view. I'm not trying to make waves. I'm just a little curious, but it's not like I said. I can think back. This is not the first truck that we've had to replace.
Yeah, just a point of information for the viewing audience. It does say in the background information that this vehicle is replacing a 2012 Ford F-450 that you had mentioned has frame rot, but it is, like mentioned, at its end of its useful life. And this is an essential tool that they use this vehicle for in the critical roles for operations, including snow removal, sanding, hauling wood chips, salt, sand, stone, as well as trailering and transporting equipment. So I just wanted to make that everyone aware of that. And Dr. Mark.
Also, just want to put out there that this isn't a request for new funds. This is something that's falling within their budget, and they've planned for this, I'm assuming, with estimates from previous useful life determinations, right? And we're just giving them permission to go forward with something that they have the money for in their budget, and this is something they're identifying as a priority, right?
Oh, that's a question?
Yeah, I'm just confirming, right?
Yeah, so yes and yes. I also want to, if I may, address what Mr. Barcelo said. I don't know the number of vehicles that have been purchased. If it helps Mr. Barcelo, I don't mind going back to Mr. Chapdelaine to see how many vehicles we do have in our fleet and to see like what in that number, like to bring back to the school committee to say we do have X amount of trucks that are working, because I do hear your statement as far as being frugal and being mindful of the money we're spending. So I don't mind doing that if that would help.
Oh, great, thank you.
Yep.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve. Any other discussion? Don?
Might be able to shed some light on what happens to the vehicle. In the past, vehicles would go to the property management and they would send them out for auction. So that could be where this is heading. In the past, we've purchased vehicles both out of the expense account and because we bought vans for Craftsman and pickup trucks for Craftsman. But in the past, we've also purchased them through capital. So I guess I'm saying is at what point does it become capital? What point does it become expense? And that's just something that should be decided down the road. Thank you.
Any other discussion or comments? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call.
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mr. Doubt?
Yes.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Lamoth?
Yes.
10 yes.
Motion carries. 25-5-11.
Move that the request for 3 reach to attend the Future Problem Solving 2025 International Conference in Bloomington, Indiana, June 4th, 2025 through June 8th, 2025 be approved.
And let me get a motion from David.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Susan?
Yeah, I'm really excited about speaking about this evening because I've been working with some families in Chicopee, and they're really proud of their sons and daughters. So if I could say their names, and one mom was emailing me about some other situations in the city, and she happened to mention in one of her emails that they were worried they weren't going to get the financing to send 3 students to Indiana, and they were, trying their best to. She had some fundraising ideas in mind, Kristen did, and I thought that was really wonderful of her. But come to find out, I let her know that it was Sarah gave me the great information that it was going to be on the agenda for this evening for approval. So these families get to send their 3 children to Indiana in June. Brooke DeRoche, Ella Gendro, Callie Parker, Megan Pendergast. They made the middle division in 3rd place. They're 7th grade teams, and they earned 3rd place in the Global Issues Problem Solving middle division. And then the sixth grade team secured second place in the junior division, and they're the ones that are going to be going to Indiana, and that was Amelia Walsh, Charlotte Risley, and Julia Wurst. I hope I pronounced all their names correctly. I apologize if I didn't, but I think it's wonderful that they have the support of our community here in Chicopee and the school committee, and that they're going to be able to attend this and go on this exciting trip and show how smart and well-educated and how much they love to learn.
Thank you. Any other discussion or comments? Thank you, Susan, for that. And we wish our REACH students the best. And on that note, we have a motion to approve. All in favor? Anyone opposed?
Does it have to be a roll call because it's expense, or?
I don't know, does it? Do you want a roll call on that?
Okay.
Motion
Good.
carries unanimously.
I'm good.
Executive session.
Move that the school committee adjourn into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law C-30A, S-21A-7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law, approval of executive session minutes, and pursuant to MGL C-30A, S-21A-3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for the Chicopee Education Association, Unit A teachers, Unit B administrators, Unit D secretaries and clerk, Unit E paraprofessionals, and United Food and Commercial Workers Union school nurses, and we will not reconvene open session. The chair declares that executive session is necessary to protect the bargaining position of the committee.
So we're heading into executive session. I want to thank the viewing audience for joining us. We will not be returning to regular business this evening. Can I please have a roll call?
Mr. Bernard?
Yes.
Mrs. Lopes?
Yes.
Dr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mayor View?
Yes.
Ms. Russo?
Yes.
Mr. Barcelo?
Yes.
Mr. Doubt?
Yes.
Mrs. Schofield?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Mr. Lamothe?
Yes.
10 yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.